Cindy Crawford, the most iconic supermodel, iconic businesswoman, mother, all the things, is on the show. I am so excited.
No one thought that way about models at the time. Like, why not be curious? Why judge?
What was your mindset during this time?
Never even thought about modeling.
What were the beauty secrets that you guys were doing?
When I was young and, making a name for myself.
90s looks are coming back.
I try to be 80% good, 80% of the time.
It's burnout, probably.
You can't please everybody.
I'm not so fragile in my beliefs that I can't handle someone disagreeing with me.
That's not something you can just turn on and off.
That had a huge impact on my family.
What was going on in the scene of New York City and Paris and Milan?
And it was like wild ride. Now I can go conquer the world.
Cindy Crawford, the most iconic supermodel, iconic businesswoman, mother, all the things, is on the show. I am so excited.
Great.
Michael's excited too. Taylor's excited. Everyone's excited.
I put a blazer on today.
Very nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Got it.
Really have to
you have to really get in this mic. Okay.
I was just telling you off air that I would love to get context on your story before you even got into modeling.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What was that? Your childhood? How'd you grow up?
I am from DeKalb, Illinois, which is a small town about 60 miles west of Chicago. Blue collar family. My two parents, obviously. And then I have an older sister, a younger sister, and I had a younger brother. And I guess I always mention that because that was probably the biggest, kind of like a very typical small town childhood. But obviously having a sick brother who died, that had a huge impact on my family. And, obviously devastating, but I also think that fortunately, my mother had a lot of faith and she actively grieved. She went to death and dying classes. She, really leaned on her church community, and she kind of ushered us through that. And I think that because of the way she was able to deal with that, which, I don't know how a mother does do that. We were able to, I don't know, in some ways, I almost felt like that was my rocket fuel. It made me want to do more because I lost my brother. I was a student, that was my thing. I was kind of like the annoying girl that was in the front row of every algebra or calculus class, raising my hand. Never even thought about modeling, never even, back then, now every young girl grows up at least knowing what a model is, or maybe even, every girl really is a model with their selfies, right? But we didn't have that. And my mother didn't wear makeup. She was not into fashion. So that was just not a world that I knew or dreamed about. And just through kind of a strange sequence of events, I got, scouted by our local photographer who shot literally the football games. So, if I would be in the audience at the football games, he would be there. And he asked to photograph me. And that was kind of my parents thought he was super creepy. So they
it sounds kind of creepy in hindsight.
Yeah.
But,
they came with me to the first shoot. And he set me on this path. And I somehow, it's a long story, but ended up in New York and on the cover of Vogue. And it was wild ride.
When you were scouted, did you know how beautiful you were?
No. And I wasn't in my high school, I wasn't the most popular girl, or I definitely was, I wasn't a total nerd. I'm not saying that I was the girl in the library all the time. But my school, the cute girls or the homecoming queens, they were the cheerleaders, the little, and that was not me. And so even when this guy wanted to take my picture, no, I didn't know it was for a local college paper where they had the co-ed of the week. And then he kind of introduced me actually to a woman that did hair and makeup by night. By day, she worked at the telephone company. And she recommended that I go to a hair show where you had to audition, but you got $100 if they chose you, but you had to go on stage and they could do whatever they wanted to your hair. Oof. Literally, I could have walked out of there with a mohawk. But fortunately, I got these two hairdressers from New York, and they just gave me a nice bob. And they were the ones that said, you should go to New York or you should really think about modeling as a real job. And so I got the yellow pages and I called modeling agencies in Chicago, and my parents came with me, and this one thing led to another. And
what was going on? Like, what to think back on that time, what was like happening in the modeling world at that time? What were like the things, if you can even remember?
Well, I mean, I wasn't following it, but the big models of the generation right before me were very like the blonde hair, blue eye, like all American, like Christy Brinkley and Cheryl Tiegs and,
Okay.
that kind of almost Scandinavian look.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my first, I don't know what magazines you looked at when you were young, but I remember I had a Teen Vogue with like Phoebe Cates on it.
Okay.
And that was like the first time I noticed who was on the cover of a magazine and like was interested enough to get her name and understand, that's a job. But how to get from DeKalb, Illinois to there was like impossible. So I didn't even know, it wasn't something I would have known even how to pursue, but kind of just through the sequence of events, I got ushered there.
You also are incredibly business savvy. Was that ingrained in you at a young age, or was that later on?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I wasn't, I was good at school and I love to learn. I'm like a lifetime learner. And I think that, when I started modeling, if you pay attention and you keep your eyes and ears open, you can't help but learn stuff. So eventually, as I had success as a model, I was able to, I'm going to do my own exercise video, or I'm going to take a chance and do this other thing. And then, it did well. Maybe I do have good ideas. And that empowered me to do like the next thing and the next thing.
What do you see as the difference, obviously, now with social media to when you began? What are the biggest differences that you see?
Wow. I mean, that's huge. I mean, I think probably the biggest thing is that when I was young and, making a name for myself, I did not have a direct way to communicate with my fans.
Yeah, so different.
I always had to go through a journalist or an interviewer, what they thought of me, the questions they asked me. Like I wasn't able to be my own author of my own story. And I think that that's why social media is incredibly powerful. You really can build your brand and you can tell people who you think you are and how you want to be presented. That doesn't mean you also won't have some of the other, but your first, I think that most direct contact with your fans is really priceless, which is why now brands, they care more about what your social media following is and engagement. I guess engagement now is even more important than the one number, right? Like how engaged are your fans? And that's why it's shifted. Even like brands are going after influencers that maybe aren't like on the cover of Vogue, but they have a huge reach.
It's interesting too. I even think about this format of this show, and I don't know if there was, when you were coming up at that time, is there anything similar to this where you could have like a long form dialogue like this?
No.
It was more like
you would do like David Letterman.
And it was a quick set, yeah.
And it was 5 minutes, and you knew what you had been pre-interviewed, and you hope he just didn't try to make you look like a complete idiot. Because like if I was on David Letterman, I was on there talking about lipstick, which he probably didn't really want to be talking about, So it was like a weird thing, but those were the kind of interviews you got. I rarely sat for like a long format interview. No.
And what was the environment like when you first started out with the other models? Was it catty? Were you guys friends? Was it the same models throughout the time? Did you guys grow up together, or was it different all the time?
Yeah. So I started in Chicago, which was nice because I was from the Midwest. So it wasn't like such a big culture shock.
Yeah.
And I was going to college and modeling for a short while. And then I dropped out of college, but I stayed in Chicago. And in Chicago, I was like one of the big models because it's like a very small little pond. And I was making great money, but I was doing catalog every day. But it was great because it was very like a normal life. And I could go to my mom's house on the weekend or see my college friends on the weekend. And then I would go and do like 9 to 5, like, belt modeling for Marshall Fields or whatever. And eventually my agency, they had a partner agency in New York, and they kept asking me to come to New York. By the time I came to New York, I was 20. So I wasn't like 14, 15, like some girls are, which is really young, especially if you don't have like supervision and you don't look young, so people don't really treat you like you're young, and that's where I think things can get a little dicey. But I was 20, I'd lived on my own, moved to New York. At that time, like right away, I met Christy. Linda, I met Fair. She was living in Paris at the time, but I would meet, of course, like it shows, really where we all saw each other was show season, which was like twice a year. And during that month, we'd go to Paris and then Milan and New York. We were like a little tribe. It was like camp. It was like a traveling camp.
Does it feel competitive during that time, or does it feel more
I think at like our level, it wasn't so competitive because everyone was doing well.
Mhm.
I think,
You guys all looked unique too, which I think takes a lot of the if you guys all looked the same, I think that would be more competition.
yeah. And I think, look, certainly were there jobs that Christy did that I wish I would have done, or jobs that Linda or Naomi or Stephanie Seymour did that I was like, oh, that's so great. I wish I would have done it. But it wasn't like, oh, I wish they wouldn't have. I'm gonna put rash cream so they break out and they're gonna have to call me. No, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm thinking what like a cheesy movie would say, like, oh, put this itch powder in their bed so that they break out with a rash or something. No, I mean, I remember like in Paris, Linda had a car because she lived there. She had this tiny little red car that she named Petunia or Petula or something like that. And we would it was like a clown car. We would pile like 8 full-grown, tall women
I'm
in
sure,
this tiny
the
car.
had a tough time with that.
Yeah, and then we would like all pile out like to do like Chanel or whatever show we were doing, and then we would go to dinner. So no, there was actually a lot of camaraderie and support. I think that especially because sometimes there was some seasons, I never did this, but some of those women would do like 30 shows in a week.
Ooh.
And it was just like insane. And you needed like the moral support, like, because when you were having usually every show season, you would cry once. Like there was always like that moment where you would just break. It would be like your shoe fell off on the runway or your car didn't show up and you had to run, whatever. And everyone have like a mini breakdown. And that's when we would all support each other through that.
It's burnout probably.
What does the hometown crowd think of all this once this starts happening? I always think about that.
It's kind of, we were talking about that this morning because even with like sisters, right, and family, like all of a sudden you're in
what are your
this
sisters
life
thinking?
where they at the time they'd never been to Europe. I had only been on an airplane once when I started modeling.
Wow.
So it was like, and then all of a sudden I'm in Japan, having what was that movie? The movie with Bill Murray, Lost in Translation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having those lost in translation moments where you're like, wait, I'm 18 years old in Japan. We didn't have cell phones. I couldn't call my mom and be like, how do I even work these weird vending machines here or whatever? I mean, everything was so foreign then. With my hometown friends, I got together with some last time I was in Chicago. A lot of them still live in that area. But it's like part of my life they can understand, and part of it is just different. Like
for some reason, I remember you doing something like, was it a commercial with Michael Jordan or was it a shoot? What did you did something? I remember.
Did I do something with Michael?
Was it him or you
was
did
it Shaq? I've done
maybe
something
maybe
with
it was Shaq. No, it was Shaq.
Yeah.
I remember that because I was young when that happened.
Yeah.
And I like the juxtaposition to that was just so wild.
Well,
like,
also he's like a giant.
One time, I met him one time, and
You looked like a little Danny DeVito.
I was like, what?
I look like Danny DeVito standing next to him too.
But I remember that, and I remember seeing that. I'm like, whoa! That it was like two completely different worlds colliding in the juxtaposition. He was so, anyways.
Well, and I think
I imagine it's strange for them to see that.
Yeah,
right.
It's fun. Like I actually think that in a weird way, fashion, especially back then, it was so in its own silo. I don't think a lot. If you didn't follow fashion, maybe you didn't really. Until I really broke through, like you might not have understood what I was doing. But then it would be like, oh, but she's with Shaq. Okay, she must be cool or something. Do you know what I mean? You're guilty by association. And actually, I was in Chicago for our friend just got inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Or no, his jersey got retired, which I guess is a really big deal. His name's Chris Chelios. And they asked some of the celebrities that were there to come on the ice. Do you know hockey at all?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so to do like this from half.
The halfway shot.
Yeah, but did you know like the little hole want you to put the puck in is like the size of a mouse hole. I
Yeah.
didn't. I thought you
I
had the
didn't know that
whole
either.
net.
So did I.
So, I mean, they do when they're playing hockey, but when you do this thing at half time, or it's not half time because it's
Well,
three,
isn't it like, do they win for this? They win something if they.
you're supposed to win something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a couple other people went and they didn't make it. So then I was like, oh, there's no pressure. But I'm wearing leather pants and high heels. Like, this is insane. Then I'm even like scooting out on the ice, trying not to wipe out. And then I made it. And actually, I think one of our mutual friends that we were talking about, like who I didn't even know was a hockey fan, like all of a sudden friends from like Illinois, because hockey's big in Illinois. I got all these weird texts from people I hadn't heard from in a million years. Like, I don't care that I was on Vogue 20 times or whatever.
Like, nice
it's
shot,
like,
Cindy.
It's like, nice shot. you
No,
know?
I think our mutual friend is looking for reasons to text you, and he was just trying to slide into your text. Sorry.
Probably.
I'll call that out. I think he's looking for reasons. When did you feel like you had your first big, not big break, but breakthrough where it was like, oh my God, this has shifted. I am now famous? I love surprising my husband with a crisp, cool glass of green tea when he comes home from work.
That's not what I thought you were going to say, Lauren, but I do love some green tea.
I always have a pitcher of iced green tea in our fridge. I'll do 3 tea bags, and then I'll do a little bit of raw honey from the farmer's market, some fresh mint from our garden, some lemon, I like Meyer, and then some ginger, and I'll mix it all up in a big pitcher with tons of ice. And the tea that I've been using is Lipton green tea. Lipton green tea is absolutely amazing if you're a coffee drinker like me and you want to switch to something later in the day. This is such a great way to support your adrenals and your wellness.
Our voices get absolutely thrashed throughout the day. We're recording all the time, and having a nice, warm, hot beverage to soothe our throats is incredible. Can't drink coffee all day, which is why we like to drink Lipton green tea.
Lipton green tea is obviously a nostalgic, iconic brand. I'm sure a lot of you saw your moms drinking it when you got home from school when you were little. It's also America's most beloved tea brand since 1871, which is wild. The one that we're drinking here is the green tea with lemon in it. It's really nice, especially if you love lemon. You can have it hot like we like during the podcast, or you can have it iced. Have a nice pitcher of iced tea waiting at the door for your significant other. They'll love it. Trust me. Try some of this delicious Lipton green tea today. Cheers. I first heard about Prolon through a friend. They told me that I had to try it out because it was absolutely amazing for fasting. Basically, what it does is it's a revolutionary plant-based nutrition program that nourishes the body while making cells believe they're fasting. So how I first used it is I was going to Cabo, I think like 2 years ago, and I just wanted to go to Cabo feeling the best. And so I did it like 6 days before I went to Cabo, and I had the most amazing experience. So first of all, I was never hungry. They have snacks, soups, beverages. They even have this little packet of olives. It's so good. And everything is designed to keep your body in a fasted state, which I think is really, really cool. Everything is based on science. It's researched and developed for decades at University of Southern California Longevity Institute, and it's also backed by leading U.S. medical centers. You've seen so many people who are very famous talk about this 5-day program. It's all over Instagram, and I'm not surprised at all. No wonder there's thousands of doctors recommending Prolong because it supports healthy blood sugar and cardiovascular health. You could try it a couple times a year. They also have a protein powder on their site. Right now, Prolon is offering the Skinny Confidential listeners 15% off their 5-day nutrition program. Go to prolonlife.com/skinny. That's PROLON life.com/skinny. When I get bloated, let me tell you, I reach for Array, my bloat capsules. I've been taking these for like 4 years. I love taking them after a meal that's heavy. So we were in Italy and I was doing a lot of pizza and pasta, and I had my Array. I had people, I was like on a boat, and I had my friends asking me for Array the entire stay. They were like, can I get that bloat capsule that you have? Anyway, they just launched the most incredible thing ever. It's MB1. And basically, this is a blend of herbs that work together to support your metabolism. I harassed the founders because they told me they were launching this a long time ago. And I was like, you have to get me the first bottle. They did. I love it. So what you do is you take 2 capsules in the morning before your workout. And what they want you to do is take it daily for 3 months so you can really see the results. And essentially, it just really increases your energy level and curbs your cravings, which is amazing. It has African mango seed in it. This supports healthy weight management. It has like a probiotic, a green tea extract, even B6, which reduces water retention. Go to array.com and use code SKINNY at checkout. You receive 15% off and 4 free bloat travel packs with your first purchase or auto ship. So what I would recommend is try out the metabolism support. I think you guys will love it. I'm someone who is still in the process slowly of tightening up. I have about 10 pounds to go to get my goal weight. But if you're more into targeting bloat, check out their bloat capsule. That's array.com, code SKINNY.
That's interesting because I thought you were going to say breakthrough, and that would have been like my first Vogue cover. And then I remember going to the newsstand. It was out and I was so excited.
Wild.
And I went to buy it. I bought 3 copies and the lady just didn't even look up from the magazine. She just was like, you have 3 copies of the same magazine. And I wanted her to look at me and go like, oh my God, it's you. She didn't. She just like was like, okay, $9, whatever. So it wasn't that. When did I think fame kind of, for me anyway, it wasn't like one big moment. It just was like creeping up on you, but certainly doing things like the Pepsi commercial for the Super Bowl, that was big because, again, it wasn't just a fashion crowd. Doing House of Style on MTV, it opened up my audience to men because MTV had more of a male audience than female. Doing Playboy, each of those things, like as you piled them on, they kind of added to the, Cindy Crawford, whatever.
Kind of momentum, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Did it get to the point ever where it felt maybe like you needed to make an adjustment in your personal life because of that? Because I imagine that's strange going from Illinois and a smaller populace where, it's not these coasts.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you're walking down the street and people just...
Though I never... Again, there were no cell phones there, so not everyone had a cell phone, a camera.
Yeah.
There wasn't the same hungry beast of paparazzi that's constantly like trying to get like model off-duty shots. Like I watch what my daughter goes through, and it's so different. Like if I had like full glam walking down the street in New York back then, yes, of course you're going to get like catcalls or whatever, but I could pretty much do my life in New York at that time. I think what I noticed it was like, let's say I'm going to be in Shanghai for Omega watches. I remember actually doing this. I was in Shanghai for Omega watches, and it was advertised that I was going to be there. And it was like probably like, in the heyday of my Vogue fashion years. And there was like 5,000 people outside of a little watch store, to the point where it was like scary, because it was, you have to have security, but they had all been, they knew I was coming. They were waiting for me. And like the anticipation is kind of what it gets the crowd going. If you're just like walking down the street, by the time people like clock you, and I'm sure you guys know, it's like by the time they actually know it's you, you're already 10 feet down the sidewalk.
Well, if there's a waiting and an anticipation, there's more pressure.
We talk about it all the time, like not to the same degree. Like Lauren and I are fortunate where we kind of curate our environment and list a lot of stuff, but the type of attention I think you and other people that we've interviewed, it's almost like that's not something you can just like turn on and off, right? It's like once it's there, it's there.
Joe Rogan always says this. He says once the faucet gets to a point where you actually can't turn it off.
Yes, that is true. And you learn to navigate it a little bit better. Like, where it's going to be like dripping or where it's going to be on, so you just kind of, and when it's going to be on, you're just prepared for it.
Yeah.
And then you're not, I think it's like when it catches you off guard, that's more when you get freaked out by it. When like if I'm going to an event or if you go to the Met Ball, you're going to be on that red carpet for half an hour. You got to walk up those stairs in a dress that's probably impossible to walk upstairs. And, the drill. It's when you're caught off guard. I think that makes it hard.
That makes sense. When you look back, when you first were in modeling, what were the beauty secrets that you guys were doing that maybe you don't do now, but what were you guys doing?
Oh, gosh. It was like the MAC Spice pencil for the lip. We would do like the overdrawn lip in this spice.
You just sold them out there. Like anyone that hears that on TikTok, they're all going to go buy that.
It's very 90s. It's so funny because like
90s looks are coming back.
I know, but if you didn't do it in the 90s, it's fine. But like my daughter can do a 90s look. Like now I can't. You know, it's kind of like wearing mom jeans when you're a mom. They're not as cute. It's like, you know,
That's true.
I don't know. I feel for me, I feel like if you wore a trend the first time it was around, it's hard to.
Like you don't think you could go back to a trend that you helped set?
I think you could go back to Spice and it would look really good.
But I probably wouldn't overdraw as much as I did then. Like and then let's see, what else? You know, I was never one of those women that like was so good at doing my own hair and makeup. But there were like Linda Evangelista and my friend Gail Elliott. They would bring these makeup kits from Henry Bendel's. They were the brown and white striped, and they were better than any makeup artist doing their own makeup. I was always the first one to get in the makeup artist chair. So I think I learned a lot from watching those other women. What else did we do? But yeah, I don't know. It was fun. Like, I think that's the thing. Like, we had fun with hair and makeup. It wasn't pressure.
Yeah. Right now, it's like the glam is taken so seriously.
Yeah.
It's different.
And we didn't go out like that. We, like, the way you wore your makeup at a shoot or on the runway, we would wash our face before we went.
It was like
out
too much.
It was, yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Like, I don't know. We definitely would not go out that way.
Did you go to Studio 54?
I didn't. It was closed by the time I got to New York. I'm too young for Studio 54, which I like to say.
I have to ask every model that's ever existed about Studio 54.
I actually have been in Studio 54 but it had closed, but they were shooting something there. So I've been in the building, but I never experienced like a full Studio 54 thing. My husband did. He said he snuck in when he was 16.
Did he say it was wild?
I think that goes without saying.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I don't think I got a lot of details, but he had fun.
So what was going on in the scene of New York City and Paris and Milan? It obviously not Studio 54. What were the things to do? What was the culture? What was it like?
Okay, so I was not a party girl. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask. Like, I definitely was the one that was like, no, I'm going to go back to the hotel and read a book. But I'm trying to think. In New York, where like Nell's, I don't know, it was on 14th Street. And it was smaller. I remember I saw Prince there. And I'm trying to think, in Paris, people were still going to like La Bandouche.
Okay.
And Milan, I don't really remember, but it was more like dinners or, you know, like Gianni Versace would have a dinner at his house or something like that. Like I remember being at his house, actually the one in Miami, and, you know, him having like these very opulent, you know, fabulous dinners. And,
I bet. I can imagine.
What was your mindset during this time? Was this something you viewed like, okay, I'm going to do this for a certain period of time and then do something else, or you always wanted to stay do it? Like, I was just wondering if you say you never got caught up in the party scene and you were just kind of go home with the book. Like, what were you thinking at the time?
Well, I for sure wasn't thinking this was something I was going to stick with very long, because I don't think that was, like, no one thought that way about models at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was very much like 5-year career, or maybe 8 years if you started really young. So even your agency didn't treat you that way. I think I probably thought I would go back to school.
You thought this was like a stint and then you're going to go back and get back to like real life.
Yeah,
unquote.
like this was a great way to make money and see the world. And then I would start like my real life. I never in a million years thought, like at one point I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to do this till I'm 30. And then at 30, I'm like, well, I guess till 35. And then it was like till 40. Like I kind of keep re-upping for 5 more years.
When you got House of Style, how old were you at that point? I feel like that was a big, I mean, it seems like it's a big turning point. You're on television now. You said you got the male audience.
Yeah, that was a big turning point because it also gave me an opportunity to talk, you know, and kind of like, again, like models without social media, you're just a 2-dimensional picture, right? Like, so people can project, oh, she looks nice or she looks like, you know, not nice or whatever. But when on House of Style, people got to see my personality. I think I started that when I was like 22 maybe, and then I did it for 7 years. So,
that's a long time.
Yeah. I was like, by that time, I'm like, I can't go shopping with one more rock star. Like, because, you know, I loved it and it was fun.
I can't go shopping with one more rock star.
But that was kind of what we would do all the time.
What do you mean shopping with one more rock star? What is that?
Well, we would take them shopping or do something. Like, I took Duran Duran to JCPenney's, or like I took, Sheryl Crow and I went shoe shopping, or Tracy Ullman and I tried on dresses at like the Plaza Hotel and jumped on beds. And I mean, it was fun, but like, when
What is Duran Duran doing in JCPenney? What are they? What's
oh my God, it was
I gotta
hilarious.
go
They were
back and
trying
watch
on
this.
women's clothing, and it was Nick and Simon.
I gotta go back and see.
Yeah, it's
I gotta
really
see
funny.
that.
I think you can find it like either archived on my Instagram or TikTok or something.
Do you start to have any kind of resentment as a model when you can't share your voice? I always think about that. Not that you can't,
I
but
just share it anyway. I don't know.
but you know what I mean? At the time, like when people would just have their perception, you didn't have the mouthpiece that we all now have.
I mean, definitely when I was, it's funny because there's like a few moments that pop out in my mind when you said that. And one was, I was still 18. I was, the summer before I went to college, and I was doing a job in Bermuda for British Vogue. And it was a spa story. I know the photographer, I won't name him. And they wanted me in a jacuzzi, or no, steam room, right? So I'm in the steam room. They closed the door. They wanted it all steamed up, and they're shooting through the glass with steam. And all of a sudden, like, I feel like I'm going to pass out. So I knock on the door to have them let me out, and they didn't let me out. And I passed out. So that was a very good lesson for me, because it reminded me, like, oh, I have to advocate for myself now. And so I remember, cut to 5 years later, I was in Hawaii with another photographer, and we're doing a story like on the beach with surfers, and I'm wearing an Azadine Alaya dress and like these crazy shoes, and Orbe had done my hair like up to here. And they're like, okay, can you paddle out with this professional surfer? Like, just get on his back. He's going to paddle you out, and then climb on his shoulders, and he's going to surf you in. And oh, by the way, don't get your hair wet. And I'm like, what are they talking? So this was like, I was like, can you just show me how to do that? Because I said, I don't understand, but if you show me, I bet I can do it. And then all of a sudden they changed the shot completely. Because who could do that? No one could do that. So now I use that often when they ask me to do something like really impossible or ridiculous. I'm like, gosh, I'm so dumb. Please show me how to do that. And then they realize it's impossible.
I think it's like calling someone out on their absurdity. Like sometimes I like people to repeat back what they said to me when it's so wacky, and you're just like, repeat what you said. It's like, actually show me. It's genius, because then they can't show you.
No.
Because it's psycho.
No, exactly. And it would, even if I was willing to try, there was no way that my hair wasn't going to be a complete soaking mess afterwards.
Yeah. So. I bet it was a man that asked you to do that. Maybe
a
woman, though.
It might. I mean, the photographer was a man, but I don't know who like schemed it up. It could have been the stylist who was a woman.
You never know. At what point did you realize that you wanted to create a business? Is this later on? And how did you even start to conceptualize it?
Yeah, I think that as I mentioned before, like the first kind of foray into doing my own thing, something that I was passionate about, was doing my exercise video. And, so many people at the time, I had started working out with a trainer. So many people were asking me, oh, what do you do for workout? And, the big video before that was Jane Fonda, which was amazing, but it was like not my generation.
My mom used to do that all the time.
The Jane Fonda one?
The one where you did the step of
Cindy's.
Yeah, good.
Might have.
So I had this idea to kind of share my workouts with my trainer. I always, keep my sisters and my mom and my girlfriends in mind. So did the video, produced it, worked with people, of course, but it was my idea, my thing, hired the director, and it ended up being really successful. Well, when you have that happen, that empowers you to go, okay. So then I did a makeup book. And then when I was 35, it wasn't so much that I wanted to start my own business or my own product line, but I'd been with Revlon a long time, and I was like, I just was ready. My contract was up for renewal, and I just knew that I wanted to do something different. It was like, this is my time. If I'm going to do my own thing, this is my time. So I knew I didn't want to do skincare because I'm not a makeup artist. I mean, I didn't want to do makeup. I wanted to do skincare because as a model, my job most of the time is I just sit in the chair and someone else does my makeup. Yeah. But my job was to take care of my skin. And that's what I was really passionate about. And I had this relationship with Dr. Sabah in Paris, who'd been taking care of my skin, and he really helped me think about aging in a way that I think was mentally helpful for me, because he calls it just like age maintenance, and he loves women. He loves the way women look without makeup. Like he wants you to feel good in your skin so you don't feel like you have to cover it up with makeup. So he and I partnered and we started Meaningful Beauty. And the whole idea behind that was just like each and every product be meaningful, get results, be efficacious,
What's the first product you launched with?
Well, we launched with a kit because we started as an infomercial business. So you sell like the system and what is a system? Like a cleanser, a day cream, a night cream, an eye cream. But really, I think, and it doesn't sound revolutionary now, but we had a serum was kind of like our super product, right? And at that time, a lot of American women weren't really using serums and didn't really understand serums. So it took a certain amount of education to help women understand like why that extra step is worth it.
So at this point, are you on the infomercial as you launched? Did you have like a launch strategy? Do you remember that?
Okay, so we started. I remember I was pregnant when I signed the deal, and it was 2001, and I think in 2024 we launched. So in that 3 years, we did develop the products, design the packaging, shot an infomercial, and then it first aired in 2004, whatever you call that. And the thing about doing, especially, any direct to consumer, is you measure everything. Like you get results very quickly. It's not like running an ad in a magazine. You don't know what sales are attributed to that. But if you give a special 800 number for that viewing, you know exactly how many people called from that. So it's a great way to reshape your messaging and understand like, oh, this is resonating with people. This isn't resonating with people. So when we launched in 2004, we were able to see, like what works. And of course, like we didn't get it all right the first time out, right? So we did some editing and the products were the products, but it was like really taking the time to educate our consumer about why us, why give Meaningful Beauty a try. And that is honestly why I chose infomercial, because, to compete in Vogue with a one-page ad against the Estee Lauders and the Lancomes of the world is like, that's a very crowded market. But having 30 minutes to tell this very organic and authentic story of my relationship with Dr. Sabah, introducing Dr. Sabah, introducing these, now everyone calls them the melons, but it's really, there's a super antioxidant in this special melon that's in the south of France that's called superoxide dismutase. And it was like the serums was the best way to get that antioxidant into your skin.
This is revolutionary, though, to me, if you think about it, because first of all, you did a kit, which now we look at like Kylie Jenner, who did her kit years and years later. The serum, you're right. I don't remember, like 20 years ago, there was not that on the market. And you were also given 30 minutes to talk, which is like you're saying that's unique for a model. So
it's one of the
it's a
first,
trailblazer,
quote unquote, like at this time they would call it a creator driven, right? But now it's somebody who took a platform and then used the power of that platform to go and build a business.
When you launched it, I would imagine when they're able to call an 800 number, you saw immediate success.
Yeah. Okay. So I measure business in like singles, baseball analogies, singles, doubles, triples, and home runs, right? And you want everything to be a home run.
Okay.
But I'm happy. If I get on base, that means I still have an opportunity to score. So like when we first launched, because at the time also infomercials were they didn't have a good reputation. So like my modeling agency, a lot of people in my life were not that excited that I went to go with Guthrie Ranker and do an infomercial.
That it like diminished your platform?
Yeah, that it like could possibly cheapen my brand. But I knew why I was doing it. And I also was a full partner in the brand. So there was so many reasons why, to me, it made total sense. So I decided to do that. But I wouldn't say we were 100. We didn't get a home run right out of the gate, but we definitely got a single and then maybe a double and then like a triple. And then we rejiggered stuff. And I am very happy getting on base. Like, and the fact that when I started that, I thought maybe 5 years, 10 years, like, and now we're celebrating 20 years. Like, and we've had over 5 million customers over those 20 years. You know, it's just been, I can't walk through an airport, a school, and a parking lot without someone saying, oh my God, I love your serum, or I love your night cream. And we did an event 2 months ago here in LA with some of our customers because I'm really trying to put the focus now, not so much on me and our other celebrity endorsers, but really on, I call them meaningful beauties, but the women who really love meaningful beauty and they've used it. So we had about 40 women there from age 30 to 80. And some of them have been using the product since we first launched.
That's so cool.
And they're the best testimonials. This one woman was saying that I think she was widowed and she started using the product and she went to the grocery store and the checkout girl was like, wow, your skin looks so beautiful. And she's like, she started crying when she told the story because she said no one had told her she looked beautiful for so long. And just to have how empowering that was for her. And that's what I love about meaningful beauty, really. It's like how, and you know this, and I'm sure men too, but when we feel like we look good or we're taking care of ourselves, just have a little bit more confidence in ourselves. It's kind of okay, now I can go conquer the world.
When a model or a supermodel comes to you now and asks you, how to be more multidimensional, what's the advice that you give? Because it sounds like yes, you've had this incredible modeling career, but you've added a lot of layers to it.
Yeah, I don't know if you can try to do that.
Yeah.
I kind of feel I guess my advice would be authentic. Where's your passion? What's exciting to you? When I did my exercise video, I was in love with that workout and with Redu and how it changed my body and how it made me feel strong and empowered. When I did meaningful beauty, I really, Dr. Sabah is my guy, he helped me feel great about my skin and about as great as you can about the prospect of aging, because it's happening, whether you want it to or not. So it's I don't even saying fighting aging. That's language that's in the beauty businesses a lot, is anti-aging and fight aging. And it's
negative.
It's why? First of all, if you can show me how to anti-age, I mean, maybe some of these biohacker guys. But
we should have invited you to this dinner we just did.
but in the end, we're still aging, right? We can maybe slow it down, or we can maybe, one of the things that I like about Dr. Peter Attia, who I know you know, one of the things that he says is you want your lifespan and your health span to line up. So if you're going to live till 90, you want at least 89 and a half of those years to be good. You don't want to live to 100, but be in a wheelchair for 15 years or whatever. You want to try to be as healthy as you can. And I think part of being healthy is mental health. And part of mental health is feeling like you're taking care of yourself and feeling it's sometimes seems shallow, but I see how empowering it is for women. And I'm not trying to exclude men, but when we feel good about ourselves, I think we just have so much more confidence, so much more to offer. We speak up, we raise our hand, we volunteer, whatever it is. We're not hiding in the shadows.
It makes total sense.
I think it's applicable towards men too, though.
Michael has a 10-step skincare routine. So Michael's hair takes longer to do than mine.
No,
so Michael's shaking his head. No, you got a whole thing going on.
No, but it's because I get to sit with so many smart people on this show explaining all this stuff to me. When I first started doing it, I was like, what are you talking about? It was just a moisturizer or whatever was in the shower, whatever was in there. Now I hear it, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. And I just look at it like brushing teeth.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And you know what? I think some of it, of course, there's so many great products now with real efficacious ingredients that will make a difference. It's not like our mother's creams that it was just maybe just putting a little superficial moisturizer on your skin. There's ingredients that actually really do peptides and all this stuff that really will help your skin age better. And it's also that self-love that goes along with it, taking that time to care for yourself. I also think that is good for you.
It's therapeutic.
What are the things you're doing now? Because before you came in, we were talking kind of about this health and wellness world.
Yeah, what did you eat for breakfast this morning?
I actually had I had a bullet, they call it primal coffee. I have from our friend Khalil. We love you, Khalil.
That just made, he's going to play
Okay,
that
I better
over
get
and over.
free smoothies now for the rest of my life, Khalil. Okay. No, I had, and then I get the $1 million smoothie. Have you ever had that one?
Yeah, it's really good.
It's so good. And especially when I know I have a busy day, I can have that. And I kind of know that can take me through the day if I don't get a chance to eat. But normally if I'm at home, I'll have I kind of do a little bit of intermittent fasting, I guess. So I don't usually have breakfast till 10. I usually work out before
What
breakfast.
do you break your fast with?
I make my own shake.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the Cindy Crawford shake?
Well, currently it does change.
Okay.
Like someone just told me flax seeds are not great now.
I thought they were good for blood pressure.
And for fiber.
But then I heard it's also bad for testosterone too. I don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. But so my current one has coconut milk, a quarter of a banana, because I was told like that too much, otherwise it's too much sugar, handful of spinach, mint. And then I put like collagen, protein powder, cacao, flax up until yesterday.
I think I'm done with the flax too.
Hemp seeds I put on the top and maca.
And then when you have that shake, what is the next thing that you like to eat? Are you reaching for protein? Are you a vegan, vegetarian?
No, I'm not. No, not. I pretty much eat everything. I don't eat a lot of gluten just because I don't feel great. I mean, I love a bowl of pasta. I can eat it in Europe and feel great, but when I eat it here, I don't feel so good. Don't eat a lot of bread, but I'll have like a salad with protein for lunch usually. And then at dinner, protein and veggies and, something like that.
Are you doing any of this alternative stuff like NAD or peptides? Have you experimented with any of that? Or
I
have you not
have
gone?
tried NAD.
The shot or the IV?
The shot,
Okay.
the sub-Q though. I can't go IM. Do you?
Michael does the
No,
thing.
but it's...
Oh,
Do you do the IV?
Ugh.
yeah.
Does it like wrench your gut out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I did it for a while.
No, I don't
and then
like
I feel
it.
like I got
It gives me
topped
the
off per
heebie-jeebies.
se.
Have you seen those patches?
Yeah, I've seen those.
The ion. I think it's called my husband does the patches.
Where you just put it on.
Yeah.
Does that hurt?
I didn't do it. I
Okay.
just see because my husband like squeamish of needles.
If he says
so.
if she told me if I wear one of those patches, she won't come near me. She's
No,
like
I don't
super
want to touch it.
squeamish.
But he puts it on in the morning and takes it off it. He doesn't sleep in it.
I don't think I can do it with the patch.
What
No,
I
but you
like-
don't have to.
But it's not.
Well,
it's not the thing that
No, it is.
distributes the.
No, it's not pokey patch.
No, she's
not-
saying it's a patch that lays
it's literally
on the skin.
like this big. It's like,
Oh, I didn't know. No, I thought you were
This
talking
big.
about that. I thought there was
That's
the
not
one
a
that
bad
like,
idea. The patch.
and apparently it's like very absorbable. I haven't tried it yet. We got it from another friend of ours who's one of these, we do infrared sauna. I've been doing that for like 15 years though. Dry brushing, I'm obsessed with.
Oh, we got to get you a dry brush.
I dry brush every morning. That's the first thing I do when do you tongue?
Yeah, tell us.
Do you tongue scrape?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. You
We don't
tongue
do
scrape.
cauliflower tongue in this room. Sorry,
No,
guys.
that-
Anyone that has a cauliflower tongue's got to go.
Isn't it like now?
They didn't check your tongue at the door. I made them check your tongue at the door.
That's funny. Okay, that's my first thing.
Mhm.
Tongue scrape. Then I do dry brushing. Then I do oil like with lymphatic, like do my own little lymphatic drainage with oil. Then I do gua sha on the face. Then I go down and I go outside pretty much every morning and take a jacuzzi and I walk in the grass. I'm grounding myself.
So you do all the stuff.
Yeah.
You do all the stuff.
I mean, I don't, but I'm not like the hardcore, like
you get it when you can.
like I haven't done like the NADIV yet.
No,
I know that's not hard. I mean, by the
no,
way,
it is hard. It is. I mean, it's
The stomach is like.
it's
oof.
not hard. I mean, listen, some people are listening. Like, it's not that hard, but no, it's uncomfortable.
yeah.
Do
to
you
the point,
meditate?
I I have taken meditation. Like my husband and I took like what is it? TM, right?
Yeah.
And I liked it. So I feel like I know how to be in that space when I want to be. It's just I just can't figure it out on a daily basis. So I have this thing. Do you know what a rasha is?
Mm-mm.
It's like a weird. Anyway, it's almost like a PEMF mat or something. Like you know how those energy mats now. So just think of that. You could do it on one of those. I just lay on that, put eye shades on, do some breathing. If I fall asleep, great. If not, I'll put a podcast on or something like that. But I do, unless my day does not allow it, I do try to find like that 20 to 30 minutes where I'm like unplugging from not doing, just being. Yeah.
I also think it's probably meditative for you to go in your jacuzzi outside and ground. Like I think what Gabby Bernstein said this once. She said, I said, do you meditate? And she said, I meditate all throughout the day.
Mm.
So she's like, I'll find a minute here and 2 minutes here and 5 minutes here. And she's just meditating all day throughout the day, wherever it makes sense.
And really, isn't meditation just about being present?
Yeah.
And so like, I feel like I did something a long time ago where I said one of my things is like, you can't multitask presence, right? So like, that has been an important lesson for me is like, if I'm here with you guys, like my phone's away, I'm not thinking about what's next. Like, let's just do this and make this be as great as it can be. And then when this is over, it's like, I'll be present in whatever that next moment is.
We have talked so much about protecting your kids from the sun. I just did a whole episode on it. And we talked about sunscreen and the one that I like. And there is this brand called Sunbum. I've talked about it before. I personally love the spray because it's so easy. Like, it's just easy to get the sunscreen on my kids. And essentially, Sunbum's kids sunscreen line is made up to keep up with the most adventurous kids. My kids are adventurous. This is so easy to just spray it on them before they get in the pool or before they go outside. Obviously, we're all trying to push our kids to get away from screens and get outside this summer because outside is it. And Sunbum will help protect your kids. So basically, the line comes with a spray, a lotion, and a stick format. Like I said, I love the spray. I'm ride or die for the spray. It's just too easy and saves me time. And the kids like it. It's like a whole thing. Each product has SPF 50. It's a clear formula, which is so nice. So it's not like sticky white everywhere. And it's water resistance, meaning you can put it on wet or dry skin. This is huge for me. Their line is vegan, cruelty-free, paraben-free, and Hawaii Reef 101 Act compliant. It's made without octinoxate and oxybenzone. Outside is in, and they've got the kids covered. Get the spray if you have kids. Trust me, you will thank me later. SPF 50, use one-time code SKINNY at checkout for 15% off your purchase at sunbum.com. That's sunbum.com, ends December 31st, 2024. One thing that I make with my daughter, who is a baker all the time, is a pumpkin roll. My mom actually gave me the recipe. We made it together when I was a little girl. And there is one ingredient that you cannot mess around with, and it's the cream cheese. And the cream cheese that I use in it is Philadelphia cream cheese. If there's anyone that knows creamy, it's Philadelphia cream cheese. It's extremely versatile and can be used to enhance any meal, snack, or anything in between. Philadelphia makes everything creamier. And how do I know? Because it makes my pumpkin roll creamier. My kids love it. We do a cream cheese frosting. If you've never tried cream cheese frosting with Philadelphia cream cheese, you are missing out on such a big part of life. There's like a powdered sugar in it. It's the perfect consistency. You just like mix it up. It's so good on a pumpkin cake or a banana cake. It's honestly my favorite frosting. One of my favorite ways to use Philadelphia cream cheese, though, you guys have to try this, is you take like a cracker, like a great almond cracker, maybe like a tortilla chip, and then you put the Philadelphia cream cheese on the chip or the cracker, and then you put some lox on top with a little bit of red onion, like crunchy red onion, and you add capers and a little bit of tomato slices, and then tons of lemon. Oh my God, thank me later. It's the best snack. You got to try it. Philadelphia makes everything creamier. Visit creamcheese.com for recipe inspiration and so you can start adding Philadelphia in your recipes at home. Visit creamcheese.com. Recently, we had the pleasure of going to the Omni Hotel in Austin and using Resort Pass. It was such a blast. The kids loved it so much. It was the most family-oriented experience that I've had in Austin. So what Resort Pass is it provides exclusive day passes to luxury hotel pools, cabanas, and spas without needing to stay overnight. Resort Pass partners with over 1,300 of the world's best hotels, and some day passes start as low as like $25. So what we did is we went to the Omni, like I said, we walked in, the kids played in the little water fountain. It was so cute. They absolutely loved it. Then we went to our cabana. We got a fruit plate. We got lemonades for the kids. We got a burger and fries, and we just sat in the shaded cabana. It was so nice and relaxing, and the kids used the pool. They loved it. It was a great experience. I would highly recommend it. I would definitely check out where Resort Pass is available in your town so you can go to these luxury hotels or pools and use their cabana and spas without having to stay overnight. If you're looking for some time to reconnect or recharge, I actually even turned my phone on airplane mode so I could just read my Kindle and chill. And it was just a really nice reset. Michael also loved it too. It's such a secret. Resort Pass, check it out. Trust me. Pro tip.
Visit resortpass.com/skinny to get $20 off your first Resort Pass experience. resortpass.com/skinny.
What is the key to having a successful marriage,
Huh.
kids, 2 kids, and also running the massive businesses that you guys run? Sometimes I feel like kind of together, right?
Well, recently we partnered on Casamigas, which is a spicy Blanco, because Randy's had Casamigos for, I don't know, over 10 years, I guess now, but I like skinny spicy margaritas. And we just one day were like, wouldn't it be fun to do a Casamigos with a spicy flavor profile? Oh, it'd be funny. Let's Casamigas. And then Randy designed the bottle where I'm crossing out his name and George's name and whatever. So we launched Casamigas, and it's been fun. And it's like, I love it. Because it just has like a nice little spice to it with a club soda. But other than that, we definitely other than building houses together, we are in our own silos, but we do respect each other's opinion. Like, I often will show him something, or he'll show me something. What do you think about this? Or he'll let me read an email he's writing, or, whatever. So I think probably like most married couples. And then balancing, look, we just celebrated 26 years married.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes. And it's, I mean, I hate saying it's work first, but I think that our society does a really bad job of setting people up for successful marriages, because we think, oh, if everything's not perfect, maybe you're not my person, right? And that's just not real. Like, you can be with your person and go through hard stuff. And sometimes it's stuff from the external world putting pressure on you. Sometimes it's stuff, one person's going through something, whatever. And then sometimes it's the kids. Kids is wow.
A lot of work.
I have some selfish questions to ask you about kids in a minute, but it's funny you say all this. Do you know Jay Shetty? Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, of course.
So he was here yesterday and we were talking about this very thing in marriage, where it's like people are so set up on, like, if it doesn't check every box all the time, it's like quick to throw it away and, you know, ruin a good thing, because it's like, oh, one little thing's off.
But the funny thing is, the grass isn't greener. There's problems on the other side of the grass too. So you got to like pick which problems you want, because there's going to be problems.
I don't have any energy for any more grass at this point either. It's just, it's too much.
Given you enough grass.
From a kid's perspective, we think about this. I mentioned we have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And Lauren and I were fortunate that by the time we got out of college, we didn't have kind of Instagram didn't exist.
Yes.
We went through all of our childhood without all this, and college years. But we think about it now. How do you think about this in relation to parenting and everything that you've kind of known and seen?
I feel so bad for you guys to have to make that decision, because honestly, my kids didn't have smartphones until they were in their late teens. Like, they just kind of missed that, where they grew up with it in their hand. And by the way,
how old are they?
My son's turning 25. My daughter's 22. So I didn't also have it. So when I was at the playground with them, I wasn't sitting on the bench scrolling. I mean, I see, it's so, like, we're all addicted to it. It's not just the kids, right? I mean, but they're in their more formative years. So I feel bad that you guys are going to, like, I have friends who have young kids too, maybe not like the ones I'm thinking about. Their kids are more like 13 and 10. And they're like when their daughter has her phone, she is like not part of the family. Like, they literally have to take her phone away to get her to be present. Like, it's just so,
I think that generation, actually, the one you're describing between us, is going to have a harder time, because they're the ones that have to go through all this chaos first. I almost feel like we are going to watch that generation and how they navigate.
Yeah, but what she's saying is
you'll benefit from it.
That our kids, our 4-year-old, our 2-year-olds watching us on the phone. And you're right, we are all.
But you get what I'm saying? It's like they're the first guinea pig to go and raise children with this kind of technology.
Yeah, because your generation of parents hopefully parents will get more in alignment too. Because also, like, I remember the one girl in my class in like 7th grade who didn't have a TV, right? And she, like, we all thought that's so weird, and you don't want to be like, you don't want your kid to be the one weird kid, right? But so hopefully what I'm seeing happening more is like parents starting to all agree, like, if there's like a little friend group, hey guys, let's everyone take their phones away during the week. But you can't, you need the community. And that's why, like, parenting is not just like the nuclear family, right? It's like, it's your community, it's your teachers, it's everyone agreeing like, how are we going to do this? Because I agree with what you said before. This generation has just like, we didn't know, like, don't hand it to them to play with when you're at a
You
restaurant.
don't realize what it's doing.
Because like, I mean, look, it's tempting. Like if you're at a restaurant and you want your kid to sit still, it's very tempting to put on like blues. What is
Bluey?
that? Wait, something. I was like, there's something
No,
with
she's
Blues.
saying
Blue's
Blue's
Clues.
Clues.
Oh,
Blues
yeah,
Clues.
Blue's
That's the
Clues.
one I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
That was Bluey.
because
Bluey's
you
a whole
get
nother
to
thing.
sit, because you get to enjoy your dinner. But is that a short-term fix that's going to screw you up for the long term, right? Like we use it as a pacifier now, right?
Yeah,
I don't know
it's
what the
dangerous.
answer is. What I try to do is I do think it's important to bring your kids out to dinner because I
Me
think that
too.
they need to see that it's not always about them.
I
Do
totally
you know what I
agree.
mean? Like, I think they need to see adult conversation. What I've tried to do is I've tried to give her a game, but it's on an iPad. So at least it's a brain game.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes me feel better.
No, but I
not-
think-
It's the kids that are sitting there at dinner that I see and I like with the headphones on and
No.
they're
It's
literally
why you-
like,
yeah.
they are so in the zone, like, and the mom's like shoving food in their mouth, but they don't even connect that they're eating.
You know,
Yeah, that's not
it's,
good.
When I
Ugh.
speak
I think
right
that's
now,
dangerous.
like sometimes I'll go and speak on like just different events. And one of
Uh-huh.
the things I talk about with this, and I always have to say, like, you have to decide if you're a consumer or if this is a tool in your life. And if you're just a
Mm.
consumer mindlessly consuming and scrolling, like that's dangerous. But if you can, and I think about this in relation to our children. Lauren and I grew up and have used this as a tool for a lot of things.
Yep.
We've obviously all been guilty of it being consumers, but I want my children to understand the difference between the two because I don't think some parents have that context, especially if this is not your world and
Right.
you don't engage here. It's like,
Mhm.
you don't want to end up in the place where it's like 99% consumption as opposed to like you're using this to like for a
Right.
means
Right. Right.
to an end.
No,
You know?
I like the way you frame that a lot.
What is the Cindy Crawford margarita with the spicy tequila? Like, is there a certain recipe that we need to be trying?
Oh gosh, I have to. Randy is in charge of drink making at our house, but honestly, like why I like the Casamigos now is that I don't want the sugar.
Huh.
Right. So if I just drink the spicy Casamigos,
Okay.
which is Casamigos is spicy, on the rocks or with a splash of soda, it's like you could, I guess, put a little bit of lime in there too, but that would be like the ultra skinny margarita because there's no sugar. Because most margaritas have like simple syrup or a little orange juice or whatever. And I know for me, like if I want to feel good in the morning,
That's the
it's like
hangover.
stay away from the sugar. Yeah.
I'm going to try that. I love spicy.
Oh, you'll love it because the other thing that I didn't realize, and we took it to our friend's kid got married, and so we took some Casamigos there, and all the women were drinking it, and the guys too. But like your breath smells good because it has like it's like it doesn't. You're not have like a boozy breath. You have like a little. It's almost like instead of mint, it's like a little jalapeno.
I feel the spice makes the
Yes.
breath smell good.
Uh huh.
Yeah, I know some people that could be drinking that too when they go out. Taylor, I'm going to get you some of that Casamigos. That's not a bad
Taylor,
idea.
we're gonna get you some Casamigos after this.
How have you instilled tools to your daughter who is going on to now become her own superstar in her own right? What are the tools that you've given her?
Wow. It's funny because people do ask me, and I'm like, honestly, the advice that I give Kaya is the same advice I gave my son for his very first job, which was at Khalil's Smoothie Shop, which was be on time.
He's told us 18. Khalil,
I didn't know that. No, I
Hold on,
didn't.
I have
Khalil
to
is the
say
star of this, right?
Sun Life Organics, everyone. If you're drinking smoothies from anywhere else, you don't know what you're doing in life.
What
There you
was
go,
the
Khalil.
advice you gave him to work at Sunlight?
Okay. Be on time,
Okay.
be prepared, and stay off your phone. And like be engaged. Like if you have, and especially for Kaya, and Presley did some modeling, but like Kaya, it's very tempting, like when you're sitting in that makeup chair to like be scrolling. But some of my best friends in the industry were hair and makeup people.
Uh-huh.
If I hadn't looked up for my phone, first of all, you make their job harder when your eyes are looking down. Like getting your makeup done is actually like you can just be passive or you can actually help them do their job better. And I try to do that. But also you're maybe missing an opportunity to make a friend. And so like I do see like it shows now, like, well, I used to bring a book, but at least a book doesn't suck you in. Like if someone says your name, you still hear it. But like if you're on your phone or on earbuds, like in a group of people, you're not even in the group of people.
You love to read. We both love to read. Well,
Yeah.
what are you reading? What what have you loved that you've read?
Oh gosh, what am I reading right now? You know, when you read on a Kindle,
Yeah.
you actually
Bounce around.
don't know, but you don't ever know the title of the
I know.
book
I
that
just
you're
read a book and someone asked me
reading.
what I was reading, and I had to look it up.
I know. I'd have
What
to
kind of stuff do
read
you
it.
like to read?
I usually have like 2 books going at a time. I'll have like kind of more. I love historical fiction or just
Woman after my own heart.
okay, or like fiction by women. Or women's stories. Of course, I like a lot, and I'm actually reading a really good one right now, and I wish I could remember the name of it. And then I'll usually have like, like I'm listening to Gabor Mate. Is that how?
I don't know what that is. What is that?
He's a Canadian. Isn't he a therapist or a psychotherapist?
Yeah, and he has a really good
Does stuff on children. A lot of stuff on
children and on like trauma and on healing.
Oh, I do know who it's the older man that always says the most profound things on Instagram. I know
Yes.
exactly who I actually reached out to him to come on the show.
Yeah, he would be great.
He's so smart.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he had a book. I just see his
I think
content.
it's called The Myth of Normal is
Huh.
the one I'm listening to right now. That one I can see because it's on my phone, but the one on my Kindle I can't even remember. So I'll like have like a fun escape book and then one that's a little more like challenging my brain to try to learn.
It's funny because after watching Palm Royale, I went and found the book
Oh yeah.
that it was based after.
It's like Miss American.
It's so cute.
Something like that.
It's really good. I just finished it. And that's all from Palm Royale.
Didn't you love? I mean, of course, I watched Palm Royale because my daughter's in it, and I was so excited for her and for her to get to work with like Carol Burnett and Laura Dern and Ricky Martin. I mean, and Kristen Wiig is
Wild.
I gotta watch that. You watch it
Brilliant.
without me.
But I loved the styling,
So cute.
the sets, the hair, the makeup. I mean, it's fun, and it starts out fun, and then it gets a little dark.
Yeah.
But the thing I love about it is there's so much. We tend to watch a lot of documentaries or like that. What was the Ashley Madison documentary or
We
whatever?
gotta watch that.
There's
heard that's
so
good.
much. It is, but there's like so much dark stuff right
Yeah.
now that sometimes, like same with my historical fiction or whatever, I need like a break. And I think that Palm Royale was a great it was like fun to watch. Not that it was always fun because it does take some
I get what it
dark
was.
twist.
I for me to sit and watch a show like
Yeah.
full without him, like there was a lot of different elements of it. It's good.
Right.
I've been trying
Really
to get
good.
Lauren to read a lot more historical fiction because I just think
Michael loves
Like
historical
what do you
fiction.
love?
I love it. I mean, I like to go. I just finished a series on the War of the Roses. There's an
Oh,
author
wow.
by Connie Golden. He wrote
Okay.
a series on Genghis Khan and Julius
wow.
Caesar.
Okay.
You like that one?
Yeah.
But I like reading it because anytime I start to feel sorry for myself, I read about what people went through in past periods. I'm like, oh, actually, it's not that bad.
Did you watch Shogun?
That's
Shogun
his
by
favorite
James
book.
Clavell is
oh
my
God,
favorite.
that's his favorite
Okay.
book.
No, but did you just watch?
I watched it because
But talk about like you're like, okay, because everyone's like walking around right now. The world is like falling, and then you're like, whoa, no, that like people were getting like literally boiled in pots of
like if
us.
Taylor was late to the recording, I would make him cut his belly open back in the day.
when they were all like, yeah.
That's correct.
I cannot believe she just asked you about that because that is his favorite
Okay.
book and his favorite
But
show
that
and favorite.
author
That's
wrote
funny.
that about that book, and then he later wrote a book called Taipan, which is about the
Yeah,
founding of Hong
I think
Kong.
my dad had that.
And James
book.
Clavell, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard one of the cool, like, there's like cool. This is a cool moment for me talking
Okay.
to you. But
Okay.
one time, that author's granddaughter wrote a message in saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe you heard talking about my grandfather." And I was like, those are the moments that I get fired up about. I'm like, yes. But no, I like that because I don't know. I think we live in a time. You said there's a lot of dark stuff, but people don't realize how far we've come and how dark it really used to be.
hmm
Right?
Yeah.
Like it was.
Yeah.
Human beings have gone through some shit.
Yeah, unfortunately though, I feel like back to like our phones and social media, it's like there should be a tool for bringing people closer together. And I think in some ways they are, but they've also like allowed people to like be in their own echo chamber and be farther apart and like, and almost amplifying these two sides. Whereas I think most people probably have way more in common than they do apart. But what's being fed to us through the algorithms makes it look like you're either here or here, and the other side is bad.
Yeah, I think from a creative standpoint, it's funny. We'll have somebody that's, I guess, quote unquote, known to be on the left or known to be on the right. And anytime that we do that, both sides yell at us. And I always say, like, the easiest, lowest hanging fruit to build attention online, if we wanted to do that, is to just pander to one side aggressively.
Mm-hmm.
having nuanced conversation is much harder to do. It's much harder to get people to pay attention to. It's much harder to stand out and quote unquote go viral.
Yes.
But to me, that's like way more interesting than just going on and screaming on one side or the other.
And more of a life skill,
Mhm.
by the way. Like, you want to be able to sit down at lunch and have a conversation with someone who, because to me, I'm like, oh, wow, you think so differently than me? Will you explain that to me? Like, why not be curious? Why judge? Like, judgment is just, it's not helping. But if you're curious, you might actually learn something. Or you might go, no, I'm even more, that even made me more firm in my beliefs. But like, I'm not so fragile in my beliefs that I can't handle someone disagreeing with me.
Yeah, I keep saying this story, but a publication the other day asked me, like, do I feel responsible to behave a certain way after? I'm like, people have to like take ownership of their own thoughts and their own life. And if you don't like something, it's okay to turn the channel or turn it off or find something. Like, you can't please everybody.
I think what's cool about this podcast is we get to interview all these different kinds of people, and you get to hear the reason why they think the way they do in long form content. And everyone we've had on, you're like, even if you don't agree, oh, that makes sense.
Right.
Like, you can see how people would come to that conclusion.
Right. It just wasn't like a random thought that occurred to them. It was like this thought building on this thought or this incident or whatever.
Or their upbringing or their parents.
I think the audience might kill me if I don't ask Cindy Crawford about her workout routine. I think that people would just kill me. Do you do weights, Pilates? What are you doing?
Currently, I do Pilates twice a week on a reformer, which I love. And that I've only been doing that for the last 10 years. And I have to say, like, even because I sometimes get lower back stuff, and even if my back's hurting, I can do Pilates because I can modify it. And I've never gotten hurt doing Pilates. Like, I think, I mean, I know it can be really, really hard too, but I find it very, I don't know, I just feel
like opening
and feminine in a way. And then I have a trainer that I work with twice a week, and hers is more like old school, like I did with Radu. It's like free weights, lunges, push-ups, running stairs, like that kind of stuff. And then once in a while, I'll do like a hike with a friend as kind of like therapy / workout.
Yeah, you kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, exactly, the best.
So it sounds like you're regimented with what you do each week, but you're not like working out every single day.
No, I probably work out like 4 or 5 days a week. And then if I get an extra one in or an extra hike or a chance to swim or something like that, that's just great. I really, I was talking about this morning. I try to be 80% good, 80% of the time. And that includes food, but that also includes working out. Like, for instance, my husband and I are going to Bali this week, which is super cool. But my godson's graduating from high school there. So we're going for graduation. And I was like, am I really, like, I'm not going to, like, I probably won't work out for that week. Just, I'll probably walk. And I don't stress about it. I'm not like, oh my God, I didn't work out for a week. I got to work out twice as hard the week before. I just know it's the long game. It's the consistency. Like, you don't work out for 1 week and be like, okay, that's good. I'm good. So I know that when I come back, I'll get back into my routine,
I love it. I have the Cindy Crawford smoothie. I have the Cindy Crawford jalapeno margarita with the soda water with a little bit of lime that I'm going to try. Where can everyone shop Meaningful Beauty? Where can they get the melon serum? That sounds amazing.
Right.
And where can they find your new jalapeno tequila?
Okay, well, the Casamigos is easy because that's like pretty much any liquor store or wherever they serve Casamigos. Meaningful Beauty is also the best place to buy is through us on our website, or if you want to buy on Amazon, we have a storefront in Amazon. And the great thing is, like, the business has changed so much from direct. We've always been direct to consumer, but we were strictly like only kits. But now, like, we've had to evolve as the way the consumer wants to buy evolve. So you can just buy singles like on Amazon or even on our website. So yeah, I would say that the website has the nicest like presentation of it, but like some people love to buy on Amazon. So
where can everyone find you? I'm sure they already follow you, but tell us if they want to say hi, ask you a question about Meaningful Beauty, where can they find you?
Yeah, I mean, probably the best way is through Instagram. That's probably, I mean, I do have Twitter and TikTok, but I don't actually, like, I am more of an Instagram girl. That was the first one I understood. Like Twitter, I was like, what is this? 180 characters.
X now.
Yeah, I know, X. Facebook also, I was like, I don't want people coming out of the woodwork that I went to elementary school with. But
They
Instagram,
will.
I was like, oh, it's pictures. I get this. I get pictures. So Instagram, I'm the most personally active on. And then sometimes some of that stuff gets filtered out through the other channels. But
Cindy Crawford, you're amazing. So inspiring.
Thank you so much
Come
for
back
doing this.
anytime.
Thank
Next
you.
time, you got to bring the tequila. We got to have margaritas.
Next time I'm bringing tequila. I'm sending some over here too, for sure.
Khalil, $1 million smoothie. Give it to Cindy for free for life.
Bye bye.
Thank you.